What's up, y'all? How are you? Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you are, however you are. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for supporting the channel, clicking on the video. So, this one's gonna be a bit longer because we're gonna get into some stuff. We're gonna unpack some stuff. And yeah, so find your vibe, get into your little spot, and take your time. There's no rush, and don't feel too, pressured to take it all in at once. Pause. God dang. But take your time. If you gotta come back to the video, whatever. So let's get to it. We've been talking about the veil, right? And so we're gonna talk about the fifth dimension. And 2025, I've been calling 2025D. That's my little theme for the year, because I feel like there's a lot more fifth dimensional energy that's coming to this planet, and people are becoming more aware of these, more conscious of fifth dimensional energy, and I think it's a good time to explore these things. And that's honestly why channels like mine have been popping up, because I think, like myself, people have just been feeling more led to start talking about these things, because it feels like more people are able to kind of understand these things now as opposed to before. So let's get to it. 2025D. What is 5D? The fifth dimension, right? Well, where's the fourth dimension? How do we just jump to the fifth dimension? We're not talking about the fourth. Well, you know what? A lot of people don't talk about the fourth dimension a lot. If you look on the internet, they might be trying to talk about it scientifically or something, but a lot of people don't talk about it because honestly, it's kind of a mystery. And in my opinion, it's a bit of a mystery. There's some dimensions that are kind of like pockets, like 6, 8, 4. They're just kind of, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it yet, just because I'm not there yet. Maybe I just have a limited experience. But anyways, this is not spiritual advice. This is not financial advice. I'm not your pastor. But, feel free to, like and subscribe. You don't need to donate anything. But, I'm not your savior. I'm not going to ask you to bow to me or anything like that. Just think for yourself. That's all. Okay, so let's get to it, man. The fourth dimension. So this is in my opinion, the realm of thought. And when I say my opinion, it's because I have had certain spiritual experiences, like I've had my Kundalini enlightened. I've been able to experience certain dimensions of reality, believe it or not. But from what I've understood, I'm connecting the dots together. I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. So fourth dimension, right? The thought realm, your dream realm, right? The realm of fears and beliefs and all of these things, right? Is very much under a lot of influence by our human world, and for a good reason, because they don't want you to experience the fifth dimension, right? And the fifth dimension, that's your higher self. That's you getting to your higher octave of yourself. And you have your little conscious speaking to you. It's like, hey, do this. Hey, don't do that. Hey, be careful of this, or hey, blah, 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 blah. Remember this, da, 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 right? You got these little voices that are talking to you, and that's coming from like the fifth dimension. That's like your higher self trying to talk to you, through the fourth dimension, trying to get through to you. But so the fourth dimension, what is it, right? It's your thought space, right? It's this whole space that's dark and just filled with ideas, right? And it governs so much of the third, right? A lot of humans think that the third is, these dimensions are like going up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, it comes down. This all the knowledge, all of this source, it comes down to us, right? And it separates, it expands, it divides within itself, and as it does, that's when you get this idea of separation occurs, that we're all separate from one another, right? That's why you have all these humans that have all these biases towards one another and are separated mentally. Although we're damn near the same thing. If you look at all these different dogs, you got tall dogs, furry dogs, bald dogs, small dogs, chubby dogs, pugs, whatever, right? Mutts. And they all go up to each other and just sniff each other's butts, right? And they all play together and stuff like that. But you got all these humans that look way closer than dogs do. And we're still at so much odds with one another, right? All these humans from different countries don't mess with each other the same way dogs from different countries do. You got German Shepherds and all these different types of dogs, Aussie dogs and stuff like that, and they all hang out together. Humans, it's just in our mind. It's this fourth dimensional, it's this veil that we have, right? It's all of our ideas, all these thoughts, all this propaganda that's been fed to us, all this baggage, all this shame and blame and guilt and all of these ideas of religions and angels and demons. I'm not saying that those things don't exist. I'm saying that there's a lot of things that are in our minds that don't exist, right? Just like if I was a higher being and I was like, okay, I want to keep people out of the fifth dimension. And an analogy, you're in a room, right? And there's a door in the room. And behind this door is the fifth dimension, right? And there's somebody's like, hey, don't go behind that door. There's a monster in that closet. You're like, what? There's a monster in there. Yeah, don't do it. Please don't open that door. If you open it, there's going to be a monster that kills everybody. Like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do that. And that person has kids. And those kids, and there's a whole lineage of people that are all taught to not open up that door. This kid goes up to touch the doorknob. It's like, don't touch the door. You're going to kill us all. What are you doing? Don't open the door. You know, that's kind of what's going on this planet. We have a lot of embedded propaganda and things that we don't even know where the door is. We don't even know how to find it, but we're definitely not going to venture there. Definitely not going to do that unless, you know, you're just not, you know, the world that we live in is designed for you. And there's a lot of money that's invested to govern people's ideas, govern people's thought systems, right? To keep people thinking about certain people or certain brands in a certain way, right? Like we mentioned before, the idea versus the reality versus the truth. The fourth dimension is the idea, right? The third dimension would be the reality. The fifth dimension would be the truth. So the idea, people are stuck in reality and can't get to the truth because of the ideas that they have. Like I mentioned these words, right? Words in the spiritual realm, words aren't the destination. Words are just signs on the road to kind of point you in the right direction, right? Just because us in English we call something a shark doesn't mean that it's a shark. You know what I mean? It's a being that we would call a shark. There's many different languages. You know, you wouldn't even understand if somebody said the same word in another language. So we have to get out of the words sometimes and be able to understand the meaning behind what something is, rather than just looking at the words. And shark may be a very basic analogy, but that's just kind of what we're talking about here when it comes to the spiritual realm, and how our minds govern a lot of these things and how to kind of navigate these things a little bit better, because we get too caught up on words like God. We get too caught up on words like things, you know, from the third, and that we're trying to carry into the higher dimensions. And like the fifth dimension, your higher self, if you look at the Sistine Chapel and you see the picture of, you know, God reaching down to man on earth, and the man's like right there reaching up with his hand, but they don't touch. That's like the fifth dimension. Like that's you from the fifth dimension. That's like your higher self reaching down to your lower self, but they cannot touch. You have the fourth dimension. You have the space in between, right? You have there's conscious and you have the subconscious. So as I'm trying to make sure I'm covering all of this, a lot of this, the fourth dimensions can get, you know, I'm trying to cover a whole dimension within one YouTube video. I'm trying to cover two actually, but thank you, ancestors, helping me out. So goodness. Okay, so a lot of us, we don't understand ourselves. A lot of us don't come to fully know ourselves, because to really know yourself, you have to get to the fifth dimension. You have to. Otherwise, you just think that you know yourself. You're still in this world of thoughts. You're still in the world of egos, right? You just think that you know yourself. And I'm talking from experience, because I used to think that I knew. I used to think that I knew myself. I really did. I was like, oh, I know. What else is there to know? Like, I know who I am. I know where I was born. I know I was raised. I know I'm from America, da-da-da-da. But then these are all the things that you don't know, because if you're describing it like that, then you're only coming from the third. You don't know yourself. You just think that you do. And until you have that enlightening moment, until you align your chakras and you get your Kundalini experience and stuff like that, then you're like, oh, I know myself now. You know, you get to see your mightier self, right? Your lion self instead of your house cat self, and you're like, oh, that's who I am. I'm him, you know, type stuff. So I'm saying this to say that a lot of humans here have never known themselves, and a lot of them have never loved themselves. A lot of them have never spent enough time with themselves to really discover who they are, or to even discover more of what this reality is, and being able to transcend it mentally, and being able to see it all as some sort of matrix to a degree. It's not the matrix, not a computer program, it's not a simulation, this is not a thing like that. It is similar in a sense to like a video game as far as what your soul is doing here. and being able to have an avatar and to have experiences and so forth, get experience points and shit, and take it back to the big avatar. So that's the fifth dimensional self of you, your God self, right? Your higher self. And there's levels above that. There is a creator God even above that. But us as humans, we only look like, oh, it's just us, and then there's God, and there's nothing else. Like, no, there's levels to this shit. We got a lot more levels to go after this, but it's all good. And you got to transcend those levels too, just like you transcend this one. But you can't transcend it, just like I said, out the womb. You had to transcend the womb before you got here. You had to figure out how to find the egg, and we got to do it here, and you do it again and again. Anyways, so I'm saying that to say, on the fourth dimension, you have to find that same self. You have to center. You have to find your own center on the fourth dimension in your mind, in your mental space, because a lot of us never get that chance. A lot of us get too caught up in third dimensional karmic stuff, right? Before they even have a chance to find themselves, they're already caught up in whether it's the criminal system or the justice system, whatever you want to call it, the being caught up, having kids at an early age, and their whole life kind of going towards that, or being caught up under different parents kind of governing their whole lifestyle and what they want from them and so forth, or getting caught up in so many different things before they can even figure out who they are. And they'll go through life, having regrets like, oh, I never fully got to express this part about me, or I lost that part of me, or I didn't get to figure that out, and and then the karma kind of continues through other people and so forth. So we have to overcome the fourth dimension, which is your realm of ideas and thoughts and fears and stuff like that. A lot of times people are at war with themselves and they don't know it. They're still thinking that there's outside entities that they're fighting with inside of their mind, and it's not. It's just them. It's just them. There's the baggage that we all have to understand, and we all have to let go. We have to stop carrying. And those things exist in the fourth dimension. You have that stuff in your mind. All the shame, this blame, all these things that's going on. It's just to keep you from getting to your higher self, because your higher self, once you get there, you see the end. Like, you see, like, happily ever after. Like, that's what that shit means. That's the fifth dimension. It's like, oh, we fucking win. Oh shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if people die and they go to heaven, or die and they leave and they're like, oh, look at the birdie, you so close, what's up, birdie? Anyways, when people transcend and go to heaven and stuff like that, they're like, smiling and stuff. It's not like people are, when they're visited by their relatives or see them at the afterlife, they're like, oh, like, save me, bring me back, but I love y'all. But anyways, I'm just saying this to say that, like, hey, like, there's a system in place for all this trauma that goes on Earth, all this crazy stuff that happens on Earth. There's a system in place to bring people back to themselves, for people to be able to finally let go of all of that baggage, right? To be able to be like, man, like, some people really do suffer on this world, and there's a lot of trauma. And I'm so thankful that the way that this thing is designed is that it's for those souls to find peace again, those souls to be renewed, and to be, to understand that victory, to understand that happily ever after. Because a lot of the stuff only exists here and in the fourth. A lot of that stuff only exists here and in the fourth. So if we're able to transcend these things while we're living and not having to finally find out when we die what the truth is, then we can empower ourselves so much better to have a better, more enriched life here, and have that understanding and be able to understand those things and help out other people too, to find that balance and to have that triumph and to see for themselves the beauty that already exists, that already works, that's already been found, that's already been achieved, the miracle that already is. It's already here. It's just that we've been tricked, mentally, to see it as separation, to see these things differently. So that's the fourth dimension. We have to get out of it. We have to stop thinking that they're monster in the closet. The monster's in the closet because it's scared of you. You're the one that put it there. There are bad things that happen on this planet. I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm not saying that all the bad things are literally just you in your mind. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying at the highest degree, these two agents are working on the same team. At the highest degree. It's like kind of like when people are like, do like little publicity stuff where they have like fake beef to kind of boost their record sales and stuff like that. It's similar to that. I'm not saying this is all about boosting record sales, but I'm saying that this is all about helping you to understand how mighty you are, how how great your soul is. It can overcome the worst of worsts, you know. But it's not, you know, we're not here to just prove it over and over that we can overcome things. That's just what's unfortunately going on in the third. And, you know, we're coming back to fifth dimensional energy, but we've been kind of caught up in the third and under this veil. And that's kind of where we have had to deal with that sort of karmic understanding at a very visceral level. But so we're making pretty decent time. So let's get to the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension. This is actually where things get really cool and really fun. This is like where you start to get to the realm of like superheroes and stuff, right? This is where the supers and stuff kind of come into play. Supernatural and all of those things, because the fifth dimension is like that. It is the side of you. It is the side of things where, you know, infinite, right? Undying energy. The idea transcending death, right? If you think about transcending death, what kind of being would that be? How would that make you, right? Say if you died, but then after you died, it wasn't ever, it was more of a release of the things that were holding you down, rather than it being the end of it all, right? Say if death was actually, say after death, right? You spend more time in the realm that you're in after you die than you do here, right? We'll spend like 70, 80 years or whatever here, but you spend more time in the other realm. And that's more of home, you know? It's like, if you know that you're originally there, and this is like a video game, right? You get to play like you know what I mean? Like this only lasts for so long, right? Because you are infinite, your soul is infinite, like Blue's Clues, right? You could jump into a world and come back. But when you jump in that world, you want the world to feel real, right? You want it to feel like the graphics are on point, like like the system, the game makes sense, and you know, whatever. But like, I'm saying it's more than just a game, but it is constructed in a similar sense. Like your soul is infinite. Your soul is infinite, will be infinite, because you are a part of God. You are in this ocean that is God. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna get to the fifth dimension next time. But I think this video is to more cover the fourth dimension, because I think my battery's kind of getting low and stuff too, and I don't want this to cut off randomly. But we'll get to the fifth dimension next time. But that is getting more towards this kind of space, and these kind of energies are now being more present, because when the fifth dimensional energies come here, it's going to be a lot more, it's going to be a lot tackier to be on that kind of timing that, you know, Diddy and a lot of these people are on, you know, because it's not gonna be something that feels like it should be present. You know what I mean? Like before, we would tolerate this kind of stuff, but this energy that we're having now is that we understand the truth. We understand that a lot of things that we're told does not make sense. A lot of these things don't make sense, and a lot of these control methods are working against them, because people are able to see, hey, you deleted that post. What do you know, whose side are you on? Or hey, like, you know, yada da 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 da. And people are starting to become more aware of these things and not afraid, because they understand the truth. And the truth is that we don't die. The truth is that this shit it only gets better, you know? It only gets better. I mean, it already is great. It already is amazing. It's just that we forget. We're in forgetfulness, right? We forget how amazing we are. We forget how in love with this thing that we already are, but we just don't know. But it's okay. It's totally okay. 2025D, we're coming back to it, you know? There's pain and love, you know? It's all connected, and it all is for a greater cause and a greater connection. But, you know, the universe loves when we make these connections, when we bridge these gaps, and we're here to help each other and lift each other up. That's what it's here for. That's what we're here for. That's what we should be doing. But anyways, I don't want this to go much longer. I've already kind of been dragging for the last minute. But yeah, we'll get to more. Hopefully I can drop another video tomorrow or the day after. We'll get into the fifth dimension, but we're also going to cover like blame and shame, and kind of go into that, because that's been a thing for a while. And yeah, I don't. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to save it for the video. But I'll see y'all soon. All right, take care.